welcome to this video. My name is Emily the Mystic, and today we're talking about the how behind shadow work. How can you actually start doing shadow work in your own life so that you can start to reap some of the amazing benefits that I shared with you in my introductory video to learn all about the shadow and what shadow work is and why it's so important. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some actual tangible tips about how you can do shadow work in your life so that when you leave this video, you have a way to start thinking about how can I bring some of my shadow aspects into my awareness. Okay, so let's get right on into it. So, with shadow work, my number one tip for starting the shadow work process is to begin by identifying your triggers. What triggers you in your daily life? And you will know that a trigger exists when you feel an intense emotional reaction to an experience, a situation, a conversation, a person, something that is happening in your reality. So you get really angry about something, frustrated, or you get really sad, or being triggered means being brought into a really intensive emotional response. And that intensive emotional response is giving you a clue that there is something there for you to do some deeper healing on. You don't have to go through your whole life super triggered all the time. I'm sure you watching this video, being the conscious aware being that you are, know people in your life who constantly are triggered by everything. There's always something bothering them. There is always something frustrating them. Those those are the people who could really use shadow work the most. They may not be the ones who are ready to do shadow work because it's not always for the faint of heart. But when you begin to start realizing your triggers, that helps to set the journey off the right foot. So first, I want you to think in this moment of one example of a situation in your life where you get really triggered. Do you get triggered by people cutting in front of you in line? You could even think of your pet peeves. What really bothers you? You get triggered by people who drive really slowly on the highway. Do you get triggered when your mom calls you 3 million times a day and doesn't give you any space for yourself? Do you get triggered by people who constantly are asking for your help? Do you get triggered by, what's another good example? Do you get triggered by having to wait? Are you really an impatient person? All of these are different examples to kind of get you thinking of different situations and scenarios where you may have a greater than normal emotional response to something that is going on for you. So you may even want to just think back over the course of the last week. What was that situation or few situations where you really were bothered, where you were really irritated or really set off? And I want you to get out a journal and I want you to pick one to start with and write that down. So let's use the example of having a friend who has no boundaries and who always calls you when they need your help. And they always are going through a personal crisis. And this one time they're calling you for your help and you're really busy and you can't get to it. And you slam your phone down. You're like, I can't believe they're calling me again. Like, I don't have time for this. I'm so frustrated. Why are they always calling me? So you're having a greater than normal emotional response. So I want you to write down that experience. I felt really irritated and frustrated when my friend called me 5 times today because she doesn't respect my time. And I want you to get it all out. I want you to get out all of your feelings about the situation. I feel angry that she doesn't respect my time. I feel frustrated that she never asks me if I need any help. I feel sad that she doesn't know as much about me as a friend as I know about her. I feel crazy. I feel guilty when I don't answer her calls because I know she needs me. I feel ashamed that I can't help her more than I do. And so I want you to start writing out all of those feelings, kind of using that little template that I've just given you. Now, after you've written it all out, that's a big part of the process, letting it go, getting it out of your system. I want you to do a deeper dive into why this is triggering you so much. I want you to keep asking yourself, why? Why is this situation bothering you? You may want to ask yourself, who does this person or situation remind you of? So, for example, if the friend with no boundaries who's calling you all the time, maybe that's reminding you of your mom, who is constantly asking you for help with other tasks and things and isn't respectful of your time and your energy. So, who is this person or event reminding you of? And I want you to also think of, how is this similar to other events, people, situations in my life? So if you have this friend who's always calling you and disrespecting your boundaries and always needs help, does your boss treat you the same way? Does your boss always give you projects to do without asking you how you are? Do you constantly have more to do for somebody else? Are you constantly giving? I want you to think about all of that. Where else is this showing up in my life? And write that down. And again, keep asking yourself why. Why does this trigger me? What does this remind me? As soon as you get to that aha moment of what it reminds you of, that's when you know that you have hit the shadow material that needs to be released. So, for example, it could be reminding you of your mom, who never was there to be a parent to you. You always had to be the parent for your mom. And so you never got to have a regular childhood because you always had to take care of her, for example. And so that may be what's being triggered, and all the energies, the emotions, the feelings that come up around that. And also the belief that you have to always help other people. So as you can see, there's a lot there. There are a lot of layers to this. And so when you're getting up to maybe a particular painful memory or an experience, or it's reminding you of someone, there are a few things to do to hold yourself in that energy so that you can start to release it. Number one, you can burn, destroy, get rid of all of this energy that you've written down on paper. You could even write a letter to the person who you feel like is the root of the trigger, and then destroy the letter. Of course, don't give it to them, but burn it, tear it all up, put it in the trash can, etc., etc. So you can burn everything that you've written. You may want to hold yourself in the space of doing some breath work, so taking some deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth to help your nervous system to relax. You may want to learn more about tapping. This is not something that I know that much about, but tapping is another somatic tool that can help you to release shadow material, can help you to release this energy. And these are all self-taught tools, by the way. My biggest tip and guidance for you is when you're really bumping up against some painful shadow material, that you work with somebody to help you to release it. So that could be someone like me working in the Akashic Records, because we work in the energy of the quantum field. We can clear, heal, and release activated shadow material and all of these heavy beliefs and unconscious belief systems that you're holding on to. We can clear, heal, and release them in the moment. You may want to work with somebody who practices hypnotherapy to help you to get to the root of what that painful memory, the painful shadow part of you is. You may want to work with a breathwork practitioner to help you breathe through the experience. There are so many coaches, mentors out there who specialize in this sort of thing, helping you to remove energy blocks and helping you to shift and release things from the shadow. So don't feel like you need to go at this alone. You really don't. It can help to get it all out, to write it all down. But for me, working with my own mentor is to really help me to process what I was experiencing, going through, and what was coming up for me was a really, really instrumental and integral part of my own journey. So that first big step, taking a look at your triggers, is the number one place where you can look to quickly find aspects of your shadow that are ready to be brought into the light. The next place that you want to look, are where, this is a question I want you to ask yourself, where do you judge others? Where do you judge others? What do you judge other people about? How do you judge people who are different than you? And I don't want you to get on your high horse and say to yourself, well, I don't judge anyone for anything. I'm super open-minded and I respect everybody. I would love that to be the case, but unfortunately, we all have unconscious judgments that pass through our mind, and not just unconscious, but conscious judgments about people, about their situations, who are different than us. So where are you noticing yourself judging? Maybe you are judging that person who's driving really slow on the highway. Maybe you are being really critical of that person on your work team who gets things done super, super quickly. Maybe you're a little bit jealous of them. Maybe you're critical of someone who doesn't get as much work done. I also want you to ask yourself, who do you blame when things go wrong? Who do you blame when things go wrong? And who are the people that you avoid in your life? What types of people do you avoid? All of those people, those judgments, represent aspects of yourself that you do not like, that you do not want to witness, that you do not want to see. That because you are judging others for that, you've already automatically judged yourself for whatever that thing is. You've rejected that part of yourself. So I want you to take a look at, where have I judged someone else? And why is that quality, is that trait so dislikable to me? Why does that bother me so much? And again, you may want to ask yourself some of the same questions that we talked about when we were talking about with triggers. Who does that person remind you of that you're judging? Why is that trait so bad? Who taught you that it was bad? Where did you learn that it was bad? Why is it affecting you so much? And again, keep asking yourself, why? So for example, say you're judging somebody at your office who is always chatting instead of working, and you question whether they're getting things done on time or not. And so you're secretly kind of judging them because they're always hanging out in the snack room and they're never on their computer. And you're like, I feel like I'm doing a lot of work. What's up with them? I want you to ask yourself, why does the fact that they're not being productive bother you so much? Who does it remind you of? What traits do that person hold? Maybe you would say they're lazy or they're slow. And then I want you to ask yourself, how do I feel if I'm lazy or slow? And automatically, if you're starting to feel yourself constrict and tense up, that is an example of some shadow material that is ready to be released. So there may be something there for you around feeling like you can never be lazy. You always have to be working. You always have to be working in order to be accepted, in order to prove your worth. Or maybe, on the other hand, maybe you grew up in a family where work and productivity was really rewarded, and being chatty, being social, being emotionally unavailable was not okay. And what if you could give yourself permission to take breaks during? So all of these examples are to kind of get you thinking about where shadow material may be showing up already in your life, and it's something that you don't necessarily want. So once you've done a little bit of digging, again, with the judgments, you can journal on all of those as well. And you can absolutely talk to a mentor or a coach, someone like me who really specializes in working with this. And once you've brought those traits to your awareness, first of all, the hardest step of all of this is bringing it to your awareness, is even recognizing that you need to do the work, because 90% of people are not willing to do the work. So once you have brought that trait to your awareness, say it's that laziness again, say you're super triggered by people who are lazy, I want you to start asking yourself, how can I allow myself to be more lazy? What are some small actions that I can take in order to allow this part of my being into my life? Maybe that lazy aspect of you really desperately wants a weekend off and you're not willing to give it to yourself because you were taught that taking a weekend off meant that it was a poor reflection of who. So start to think of some small ways that you can start to embody that trait, start to embody the laziness. Maybe it's going over and talking to that person at your job and having a conversation with them and taking a break. Recognize that all of these shadow traits, all of the shadow material, it always has a gift, it always has a lesson. There's always something for you to gain from it. And so, if we're using that example of laziness, perhaps you're learning the lesson of like really, first of all, knowing that you're worth it, you're worthy and deserving just for being alive, not based on the work, on your productivity levels and your output. And you realize that you're worthy and deserving just for being you. Maybe that's the lesson. Maybe you learn that it's okay to take a break from time to time and that it's okay to chat to your coworkers and to get to know them better and to be social. That it's not all about what's sitting in front of you on the computer screen. So there's so many valuable lessons to learn in working with the shadow. Not all of it is fun, right? A lot of this stuff we don't want to admit that it exists because for the majority of us, we hate being wrong. And so therefore we never want to be wrong and we avoid being wrong at all costs, right? So we don't want to take a look at all of these ways in which we have gone through our life judging and being wrong for things. It takes a really strong person to want to take a look at all of this. But I promise you that you're really going to start to reap the rewards by actively doing this work because you're going to feel less anxious. You're going to feel lighter. You're going to feel brighter. You're going to start to feel more joyful in your day-to-day life. And you're going to start to feel free of all that heavy stuff that you've been holding and carrying for so long. I would love to support you on your own personal shadow work journey. When we work in the Akashic Records as a mentor and as a coach, we get to the root of that shadow material, where it's coming from. Is it from a past life or is it from this lifetime? Is it from childhood? Is it a projected belief or is it a belief that came from you? Or was it a belief that you were taught? And how did it serve you? How is it no longer serving you? And how can we shift the energy and let it go? What are the lessons that we can learn? And what's the gift? What is the gift from all of this that wants to be embodied and brought into your day? So if you want to schedule a session with me and we can dive into all of this together, you can do that at the link below. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and comment what resonated with you. You're welcome to share any of your insights about shadow work. Maybe you've been on the shadow work journey in the past. Maybe I will say it's definitely an ongoing process. There's always more to learn and to uncover. And I'm so grateful to support you on that path. Sending so much love, and I'll see you in the next video.